Good morning.
Good morning.
So, today's theme of the meeting is modernity and consumerism. So, before we proceed with this topic, I would like to understand from you all, what do you think about modernity? What is this process of modernism and what is this modernization? We have always heard that Indian tradition is in conflict with modernity, or the tradition and modernity is something like binary opposite. The world has passed through this civilized history of 3000 years, and somebody called it we are in the traditional, we are in the pre-modern or traditional period, we are in the modern period, and there are critics who are calling no, we have moved out from modernism and we are going towards post-modernism era. So yes, anyone? What do you understand by modernity?
Modernity means to keep pace with the rest of the world, like in terms of how we become more productive
Okay.
in whatever we do, how
Okay.
we become more knowledgeable, whatever knowledge we are gaining, how we do more innovations.
Okay.
To me, that's what modernity means. And as long as it helps human beings, as long as it improves our ecosystem.
Okay. So as per TM Vivek, it's more about pursuit of knowledge. It's more about improving your production process, becoming more productive. Is there any other aspect you can see in modernity? Vivek, Kunal?
So I feel that modernity is the acceptance of truth based upon scientific reason. Once, like 500 years ago, we all believed that Earth is flat, but now we all know that Earth is not flat, Earth is a kind of oval shape. We all believe that sun was, like Earth was static or the sun was static, but now we all believe that Earth revolves around the sun, and even sun revolves around the galaxy. So as per me, the modernity is the acceptance of truth based upon some scientific reason.
So absolutely right, Kunal. The best logic given for modernity is that you accept anything based on objective truth. It's not about perception. And this has become the defining period for modernization, from where this process of modernism starts. Modernity is not just about what we think. Modernity is not just about what we wear. Modernity is not just about how we live. Modernity is about everything we do. So today we will try to understand how this process of modernization and this era of modernity has impacted every sphere of human life. And at the end of the question, I will be asking you the society in which you are living, whether it is pre-modern, modern or post-modern. So before we go further into this topic, I would like to invite first speakers above the subjective bias of individual. And as Toastmaster Kunal said, modernity is something which seeks truth in objective fact rather than personal disposition. So this process of modernity has not only impacted the production process, or it is not just dealing with the productivity of human or productivity of our economy, it is something which is impacting the every sphere of our social life. Now you just think about period 500 to 1000 AD. Have you observed any change what used to be a 500,000 years before and how we are predicting or how we are deciding any event in modern time or in present time? 500 to 1000 years before, people used to think that agency power is there with the God. And now we think that the agency power is with human being. Now we can do anything. Now when people used to fall, earlier when people used to fall ill, they used to first go to temple. Now we used to first go to hospitals. When there is any failure in crops, agriculture, people used to blame God first. Now they used to blame government. You can see the farmer protest going on. In the political sphere also, if you see, The form of government we are seeing in the modern era or present era is based on democracy, is based on rule of law, is based on nationalism, is based on the rule of state. Unlike the previous or in the pre-modern time where we used to have a monarchical form of government where there is a no respect for rule of law. In economic field also you can see we have moved away from the handicraft way of production to the industrial based production. In the social sphere also you can see there is lot of growing individualism and atomization in the people. At the psychological level of the individual also you can see lot of changes has been observed in the present generation. We are more objective when we are seeking any truth. The people are becoming more logical, more rational. Every decision is taken based on some fact. So this process of modernization has impacted every sphere of our life. But the question comes how this process of modernization starts, from where it starts and where we have reached till now. Before we were discussing about the process from where this modernization starts. Have you heard about this period of Renaissance somewhere around 1200 AD?
Read in history only.
Renaissance you have not heard.
Read in history.
More of poetry in history.
7th class history.
Okay. So Renaissance was a period when people started questioning everything. It is also termed as a period of enlightenment. And this Renaissance, which has ignited this spirit of questioning, has resulted into various kind of revolution in Western society, whether it's French Revolution or American Revolution. And this French Revolution and American Revolution has given us the concept of equality, fraternity and liberty. With this momentum, the Industrial Revolution started in Europe somewhere in 17th and 18th century. And the core essence of Industrial Revolution is that we have to increase the production process where nobody should die because of lack of any product. And it was promised that this revolution is going to fulfill all the needs of mankind. With this view, colonial European, they invaded the other part of globe so that they can get a market for their product. And what culture or what concept they were following, they tried to impose this across the globe. And the process of modernization starts in India also somewhere after mid of 19th century. But when this process of modernization starts in India, there is always a conflict between our traditional values and the modern value which the Western peoples are carrying. Because the concept of modernization is very much related to production system. The core essence is production values, whereas for Indian tradition, we are having a spiritual value. And that's why there is always, you will see a conflict between modernity and tradition in India. Modernity calls for equality. However, in Indian society, you will see several fragmentation or division is there, whether it is on the basis of caste or religion or any other thing. When this concept of Western modernization came to India, when we tried to accept the political democracy, we see people are accepting the democracy, which is a modern concept, but at the same time, people are divided on the line of caste and religion. And this has again created a kind of debate whether we are modernizing or we are again stick to our traditional values. So before we resolve this dilemma, I would like to invite the next speaker for the day. And rightly he said, life is mix of experiences and nothing lasts forever. Similarly, the period will keep on coming and going, and there will be a beginning of new era. So we were discussing about why there is such kind of contradiction in India when we talk about modernization and this era of modernity. Because we are just discussing about the selective aspect of modernization, which we started from our production process. Because when this concept of modernization and when this concept of industrial production started, people were talking about how to get a market so that they can sell their new product. And for that they always want that this part of continent should always be in the hand of European power. And they want to create a division between society so that people should not unite against their kingdom. And this process of modernization, or this aspect of selective modernization, has introduced on some objective at which has become the gauge for measuring the progress of any individual, and in that wealth become very important. This pursuit of wealth and just to maintain the society, status in the society, what people started doing, they have entered into this process of conspicuous consumption, and this has resulted into a new disaster for the society, which we coined is today as consumerism. So the excessive production which is taking place in the European market were flourished into the rest of the part of the continent, rest of the part of the globe, and people are just promoted to use those products. There is a book written by T. Veblen, the Leisure of Middle Class Society. Leisure of Middle Class Society. In that he has very well explained this concept of conspicuous consumption, how people are consuming, how they are buying more product just to maintain a status in the society. There are some product and this has been very well utilized by the marketing agency everywhere. Every year they are launching a new product. Every year you will get a new version of iPhone, every year you will get a new version of Android. So that even if you are not in need of those products, you will be buying those products just to maintain a status in society, or just for the reason that it is not accessible to the rest of the people in the society. So now I think you can link how this consumerism is a product of modernization or the product of selective modernization, which was initially focusing on the production process. There are many other repercussions which we will be seeing further about this selective modernization or about this habit of consumerism. Before that, I would like to invite the next speaker for today. And you need to stretch less and bend more, and that's the essence that such a vast country with such kind of diversity is existing today, because we have always accommodated the change, whether it can be in the political sphere or economic sphere or any other field. So we were discussing about modernity. Then if modernity has promised that everything good will happen with mankind, then why people are under stress in present time? Why there is a crisis-like situation across the globe? Why there is a division in society? Why people are not satisfied? Why people are consuming more and more sleeping pills? Why there is still poverty existing across the globe? That means there is something wrong in the concept of modernity, what we are imbibing. It should not just be related to production process. You can see in offices also how people are bound to do their work within the stipulated time frame. It's like everything is being calculated. Your performance is being calculated by how much hour of work you are investing, how much time you are devoting in your duty, how much module you are submitting, how much project you are submitting. This process of modernity has converted man into a robot. You will have to understand that there individual human needs some other thing for their satisfaction, for their fulfillment. They need to enjoy the company of others. And that's the difference between animal and a social animal. It's not just about robotic process. It should not be restricted to production. It should not be restricted to pursuit of knowledge which is only related to production process. It should not be related to scientific discovery which will only fulfill the material needs. Have you heard about risk society? Anyone? Which society? Risk society. So this is a new term which has been coined, that we are using technology to make our life more easier. But this technology is again creating problem for the future. Today we are using air conditioner so that we can be at a comfortable position during the summer time. But this air condition is also releasing hydrocarbon and chloroform, which is again impacting your atmosphere. Today we are using GM crops so that we can increase the food production and we can feed all the citizens of the country. But they are again going to give birth to new kind of biocides, pesticides, insecticides, and which will again deplete your resources. This concept of consumerism, which has been adapted across the globe because it will be driving your economic growth. But this practice of consumerism is again depleting your resources, and again you will be compromising with your growth in future stage. So this thing has again resulted, and this process of modernization or the selective modernization is again creating stress among people. No longer they are believing that can solve all the human problems. Earlier people used to go to temple. In the modern period, people are going to the hospital. In the post-modern period, you will see that one member of the family will go to hospital, whereas other member will go to temple. And that's why you will see that in front of every big hospital, you will find a temple. And that's why there is a debate key. While we are trying to move to a modern society where people are trying to leave their tradition, but we are gradually being trapped into the postmodern world where we want to take modernity and tradition sync with each other. With this, I would like to invite the last word of wisdom. So as this was the last speech, so before I conclude this session, just one conclusion I would like to share with you. This society will keep on transitioning from one era to other era. What is more important for us is how we could live in a society where we should move towards sustainability, where we should also be taking care of the future generation, simultaneously fulfilling our own present need. And for this, we need to move away from this consumerism to the principle of minimalism, where we should take those goods which are necessary for us, which should have minimum impact on our environment, which should have minimum impact on our future generation. And while moving ahead, we should be in tune with one thing, that if modernity will fulfill your material need, it is the tradition which will give you a sense of satisfaction. Thank you everyone. With this, I would like to invite table topic master for today, TM Doli.